with several speakers. And in a few instances, I'm going to be very pleased to welcome to the stage, and I'm going to ask you to invite her on stage with me with a lot of energy, Mrs. Sheila Hymans of the European Marine Board and the European Marine Board Executive Director. Sheila, you can come onto the stage. It's great to see you. Come on stage with me. I'm going to give you a microphone. I'm going to make sure it's open.
Hello.
Yep, it is great. It's open. You can come over here because you're going to be speaking most of the time. So we're going to invite some people on stage. They're going to give speeches. Then we're going to have opportunities to talk and ask questions. You have the floor, Sheila, and Executive Director of the European Marine Board. Do not hesitate to say a word or two on what you do.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And if I can get the clicker.
Oh, yes.
There we
Sorry.
go. Perfect. So welcome, everybody. It's really nice to see you all. I think.
It should work.
Not working. There we go. That's me. We are the European Marine Board is a science policy think tank, and we basically bring scientists together to come up with knowledge that policymakers need to know and then translate it so that policymakers can understand it. But today we're going to be talking about the European Ocean Observing System. And the agenda for the next 45 minutes is that we're going to have a quick 5-minute introduction about the European Ocean Observing System framework within the European Observing Landscape by Inge Lips. And then we will not have Fabricio, but we will have Pierre-Yves Letron from IFREMER giving us a talk about how France is coordinating and integrating the French Ocean Observing System. And then we're going to have a panel discussion with the addition of Zoe Constantino from DG Mare. So I'm going to give the floor to Inge, and she's going to entertain us for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Let's invite her on stage cordially. Very good. Thank you, Inge.
I hope you can hear me.
Very well.
Because I can't hear anything. So I'm just trying to talk and hope that this is entertaining. I like this photo here, or picture here, because it describes very well how different technologies are that we are using to observe the ocean at the moment. And with very fast developing technologies, we are really in a position where we have never been before in our abilities to observe the ocean. But at the same time, we are struggling all the time that we are lacking observations in many regions, or even in particular time of the year, so that we are not covering the annual cycles with observations. And with better coordination and integration of all those different resources that are available, we could have higher impact and more efficient also use of those resources. And by resources, I don't mean only the different instruments in the water, but also human resources and the money available. And we are also mentioning quite often the sustainability issue. And I think that to secure the sustainability in ocean observations, we have to move from what we observe to how ocean observations impact the different sectors, different activities that we are doing. What is the global impact of those? We need to highlight better the impact to blue economy, like to fisheries management, maritime navigation, renewable energy installations and coastal developments, as well as ecosystem assessments, because based on ecosystem assessment, a lot of decisions are made. But we also need to highlight better that the ocean observations are used for many everyday forecasts, and not only for marine forecasts, but also weather and storm forecasts, which make our predictions more accurate and save lives. And also that there are a lot of early warning systems which depend critically on the continuous flow of ocean data. We see in the other next pavilion the digital twin of the ocean, the replica there. And also von der Leyen today mentioned the importance of making that operational. But we cannot make the digital twin operational without a continuous flow of new data, because only new data can inform us about the processes and the shifts in the ocean environment. So in 2018, European Ocean Observing Community initiated with the first strategy the European Ocean Observing System Framework, which is aiming to propose the development of integrated ocean observing system, but also facilitating the information exchange, data exchange, and so on. This is a community-driven framework. That means it's bottom-up. No one is telling us what to do, but the community wants to make a change to move towards better coordinated observing system. And in 2023, we made another step forward to really move towards really integrated ocean observing system for the Europe, which is well coordinated, promotes a lot of collaboration, because better coordinated observing efforts maximize the value and benefit of ocean observations at all different levels, national, regional, European, but also global level. But we need a sustained alignment of national efforts and activities to strengthen the ocean observation value chain. And for that, we also need a lot of political will to really implement the necessary tools for coordination. So I think that Ocean Pact can be a window for us at the moment, and we have to take as much as possible we can from this initiative.
Thank you very much, Inga. All right, so there we go. So our next speaker is going to be Pierre-Yves Letron from Ifremer, who's going to be speaking on behalf of Fabrizio D'Ortezo, and I will leave you to it.
Okay, this one. Okay, so thank you. I will indeed give you an overview of French ocean observing activities on behalf of Fabrizio. We are part of this French Ocean Observing System initiative and executive board. Just to remind some of the activities that we do in France. So we have lots of activity to make sure that we can observe the ocean on the longer run. So with in terms of collection of in situ database, a key aspect also of the activities that we do in France is to make sure that what we observe from the ocean is also combined with what we observe from satellites, and then feeding models or digital twin of the oceans. This is an organization at national level, but we also, most of our networks are already organized as European research infrastructure and willing to really contribute to this European Ocean Observing System at European level and the Global Ocean Observing System at international level. So this is a different measurements that are taken today by a French institution in terms of regular observation. So this is going from the open sea down to the coastline, from the surface down to the deep ocean, physics, biogeochemistry, biology, fishery observation as well. And we are using classical, ships observation, but more and more autonomous instruments, Argo float, gliders, and so on. So we decided in 2023 to improve the coordination of the many activities that we have in France dealing with systematic observation. So we have different institutions in France, CNRS, Ifremer, CHOM, and so on. So we decided to work together to define a common strategy for observing and making sure that the different building blocks that we have today in observation are coordinated all together. So this includes what we do already for the Argo program, international program, also for deep sea observation as part of EMSO, tide gauge network, all the coastal observations that are organized at the national level, open sea with tropical moorings, ships, and so on, meteorological buoy, and also a series of networks to monitor the biology, the water quality from IFREM. So we have in the strategies that we just issued, we have four main ambitions. First, we want to consolidate and strengthen the National Ocean Observing System as was mentioned, this is really in the value chain that goes from observation to end user application and so on. This is a fundamental element. So we have to consolidate this. To innovate also, there are many innovations in terms of technology, in terms of the way we can process the data, it's important. And last but not least, the value chain, making sure that the observations are not alone. They feed models, they feed digital twin of the ocean, and then the user. A key aspect as well is to make sure that we explain the importance of observation to the general public and also to the politician, which actually with the European Ocean Pact is extremely well understood today, I would say. So we worked very hard the last couple of months to set up, to launch a new strategy that was officially launched last week, here, which is our Stratégie Nationale Ocean Observing Strategy. We have also a dashboard to monitor what we do in terms of observation. And last but not least, so we had this event last week to launch this strategy on the French Ocean Observing System. We have this event today on the link with Europe. I think, yes, tomorrow there is specific events at, not here, but at Villefranche-sur-Mer, where we will discuss how this French activity are combined with international effort. And I think that's it from.
Thank you, Pierre-Yves.
Thank you. Thanks, Pierre-Yves. It's really amazing to see what France has done to actually coordinate it. So if I can ask the speakers to come to the... you're going to have to sit there. I'm going to stand. You get your own microphone. There we go. So, and I'm going to stand this side because the microphones interfere with each other. So thank you very much for our speakers. Zoe Constantino from Digimari is another panel member that we have. Zoe, maybe you want to introduce yourself and then maybe after that answer the question which I'm going to ask everybody. How do you think this new Ocean Pact that was introduced and that was highlighted this morning also by President von der Leyen, how is this going to help us to implement European ocean observing?
Thank you, Sheila. So I'm Zoe Constantino. I work for the Director of Maritime Affairs and Fisheries in the European Commission, and I work in marine knowledge. And marine knowledge starts with ocean observation, continues with data, and goes into applications, digital applications or others. Ocean observation is the foundation of all marine knowledge. And until now, besides the fact that both the member states and the European Commission are investing a lot of effort and a lot of funds in developing ocean observation, it hadn't received the attention that it should. By saying that is in the foundation of marine knowledge, by saying that it's in the foundation of marine knowledge, we mean that it doesn't only support research, it supports what we do every day in relation to the ocean. It supports activities like aquaculture, like fisheries. It supports the development of energy from the sea. It supports our safety in sea. The safety that is related to transportation and the safety that is related with our coasts. The Ocean Pact is an opportunity. Finally, ocean observation gets into the political agenda as a clear priority, a priority that is related also with the way that the world is changing, and with the fact that we need to be certain that we can maintain what we know about the ocean, how the ocean interacts with the climate, and how it affects it. And we have to be, as Europe, as European Union, we need to have the capabilities and the capacity to support this long term, not only through research, but through sustained funds that are dedicated to the cause and that they end up into clear services. So they start by an ocean observing system that covers European needs, that probably goes beyond into the leading role that Europe needs to have in the world. And they create clear pathways on how the data is available for different kind of services and how advanced services as the digital twin ocean can be useful from researchers to policymakers to business developers to everyday citizens that live and base their lives and their livelihoods into the ocean. It's early to give specifics on how this is going to be developed, but it's clear that the European Commission gives here a direction that we hope that it's going to be picked up by the member states in terms of where the priorities are going to be put for the next period of time. We are already working in the European Commission to develop a coordination of ocean observation that is of legal nature, that aims to bring transparency and to help member states to achieve more with the money they invest in ocean observation, to also advance technologies and advance the technological market that is behind in Europe and needs to get further. And now we have the political foundation to work on this development together with different stakeholders and the member states.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Zoe. So, if anybody in the audience has a question, please raise your hand. Otherwise, I will go along. You please think of some questions, because we're going to go through one line of questions, and then if you have any questions, please, I will. That would be great to know. So, Inga, maybe I can ask you, how do you think this ocean observing, this European Ocean Pact that we heard about, and this ocean observing initiative that President von der Leyen mentioned this morning, which you probably haven't heard because you were on a flight to get here. How do you think this will really help Eoos to be more sustained, to actually do what we've been trying to do for the past 15 years?
I think Zoe also mentioned that it's already a great achievement that ocean observations are put very high in the Ocean Pact, and the impact of the observations is highlighted also. What I can see, I have read through the document. I heard a little bit also von der Leyen's speech. But what I really like is that there is a sentence that we have been like mantra repeating year after year, that we need a well-integrated system. And this is what it's written now in the pact, that the pact aims towards integrated European ocean observing system. So this is a good achievement. Now the matter is that how will we achieve it in reality? So we need to, like I said also in my short intervention, that there is a lot of need of political will to change how we coordinate things. And what Ocean Pact also does, it highlights the good collaboration between different regions and inside the regions. It also brings out a little bit that some regions are ahead from the others, and the others need to catch up, which is again something that we have been also trying to do in the European Ocean Observing System framework. So I think that there are many great things mentioned in this document, but now we need to make sure that those great things don't stay on the paper, and there is really following actions after that.
Thanks. And I will ask Pierre-Yves for you as well. How do you think? I mean, I think France has been really at the forefront, putting together FRUS. You guys have been working really hard to coordinate the ocean observation networks and the landscape in France. And I think FRUS is an amazing outcome of that. But how do you think what we heard today and what we read in the European Ocean Pact can really help, and also working with the other nations surrounding you?
Well, First of all, I'd like to echo what Inga just said, because this European Ocean Pact is really a great initiative, and the Commission is really at the forefront of better protect the ocean, on making sure that we have the knowledge required to sustainably manage the ocean. The Ocean Pacts also recognize the critical importance of observation. So for France, on all the ocean observing activities that we have, it's a very strong push to make sure that we consolidate, improve what we do. observing the ocean is very challenging. We still have many gaps, I mean, in particular when dealing with biology and biodiversity, and we really need to have systematic long-term observation because the ocean is dramatically changing. So we need to observe this change of the ocean. So for us, it would be a strong push to do it better, but also to coordinate with member states so that we really have a truly European coordinating system. Then in practice, how we'll do it, this is up to altogether member state plus the European Commission to agree on the best way to do it, how to organize the respective activities, the role of member state, the role of the European Commission. We consider that the European Commission has to play the fundamental role of coordination, but that's because this is what they have to do. But in terms of funding, we have also to discuss how to fund the different elements between coastal, open sea, global system. So there is really a lot of work to be done, but the very good news today I think the speech of Ursula von der Leyen today was really an excellent news to see this ambition that the European Commission is putting on the ocean on the way to observe it.
Thanks. Questions? No? No questions yet? Well, then I'll continue. If you don't ask questions, I'm going to start asking more difficult questions to the panel. So you guys have to save them. Zoe. So the Ocean Observing Initiative that you mentioned earlier, how, in the best possible way, if you could make it so, if you had your little wand and you said, okay, this is how we're going to do it. How do you think the Ocean Act that is in the Ocean Pact, that's a glimmer in the eye of the Commissioner right now, how is that going to be able to, how do we make it happen? What is the best case scenario for you?
If you don't mind, I will emphasize on the Ocean Observation Initiative. So ideally, let's be very, very ambitious, and we want to be very ambitious. Ideally, what the Ocean Observation Initiative is going to do, as it is framed now, is to make sure that we have a European ocean observing system that is what we need across the disciplinary spectrum. And this is very challenging because in some areas of the spectrum we're quite advanced for the moment, but in other areas, as for instance of biological parameters, of biodiversity, we have a lot of ground to cover. Of blue carbon, we have a lot of ground to cover. So first of all, we need to identify which are the optimum European ocean observing system in the different areas that the European seas are covering, develop the capacities for observation, invest in technologies, in new technologies that are going to reduce the cost and increase our capacity to observe. And this means new technologies, artificial intelligence, new sensors, a European technological market of ocean observation, and ensure the coordination in the member states in such a way that these observing capacities are not a discussion of every year and the biannual cycle of funding, but they have a long-term perspective and they can be reassessed in a specific period of time in order to optimize it even further. And this, of course, requires coordination and some kind of accountability also, both from the actors that are involved, but also from the member states that are administrating and funding. And I think that this is quite an ambition. An extra ambition here is that Europe needs to step up its international role to ensure that the global ocean observing system also maintain capabilities and allows us to have the knowledge of the ocean that is required to maintain our living and to address the challenges that are in front of us.
Thank you, Zoe. Still no questions. Okay, then it gets harder. Oh, there we go. Somebody's going to save you. I'll come with a microphone. Please state who you are as well.
Thank you. My name is Jonny Johannessen. I'm from the Nansen Center in Bergen, Norway. I I'm really looking forward to see this Ocean Pact in action. Does it also cover issues related to coastal seas and every country's own responsibilities?
It certainly covers, it has a chapter on coastal communities. But you framed it correctly. It's every country's own responsibilities, meaning that the Commission can show the way, and this is what it does with the Ocean Pact. But ocean observation is a responsibility of the member states. And a freedom of the member states also, because they need to decide of what they need to observe also for their sovereignty and their purposes. So the Commission paths the way with the Ocean Pact. It also, we have been working with the member states on ocean observation already. We have people from the member states discussing on ocean observation coordination, experts from the member states. Now, the commitment of the member states also needs to increase. We cannot force this, but we can put attention in the correct parts so that this responsibility is picked up.
Pierre, if you want to add something?
Yes, maybe to react to this on the way we can organize the European contribution to the ocean observing system. I mean, for coastal waters, of course, this is a responsibility of member states. For when we discuss global system, and we have today an obvious problem and risk, let's say, with global Argo, the global area profiling floats, which is at risk today because this system is funded by more than half by the US, and this is so important to us. So this is where there is an interplay between the responsibility of member state, European Commission, and when we are dealing with such a global system where all European countries should work together to ensure and to develop this system. So France is really, let's say, coming to Argo. So we have a strong component on Argo. We host the European research infrastructure on Argo, and I think very keen to work with the European Commission to see how this essential ocean observing system, of course, not the only one, can be developed and sustained, given the present situation, which is really at risk. But there is, at some stage, sharing a responsibility between member states, European Commission. Like also to mention that there is many innovation as well. I mean, in biology, we know that environmental DNA, sensor, I mean, all these technological innovations that we have will allow us to much better observe the ocean, and we really need to have them. Otherwise, we will not be able to sustainably manage the ocean.
Thank you. No more questions. I will carry. Oh, no, there we go. You're making my life easier. Please say who you are.
Hello, thank you for the presentation. I'm Fernanda, I'm a journalist, and my question is, how will all this data be presented if there's a unified system and a dashboard where journalists or the general public can access it? And the second question is, does the pact also foresee monitoring European presence outside of EU waters? So, for example, we know that there are problems with European fleets in West Africa, in the Indian Ocean. Will the pact also cover this or track companies and fleets responsible?
I'll start. Give you time to think. Yeah, so first of all, I think from a data perspective already, a lot of the data that's collated and observations that's made is already in EMODNet, the European Data Network. So you can always get all of the data that's available in EMODNet already. And I'm assuming that the observations that will be made through this observation initiative that's coming out will feed into EMODNet and into the digital twin of the ocean through Copernicus or EMODNet. So I think for a journalist, probably the digital twin of the ocean will be the best place to go. But you can always get the data from EMODNet. Did you want to add something, Zoe?
I want to add that we have multiple interfaces at this moment regarding open data at least. So EMOTNET is one, regarding in situ data, data collected in the field. The digital twin brings together EMOTNET and Copernicus Marine that cover satellite data, and then you have a lot of modeling applications. I think that your question aims a little bit more towards fisheries, which is indeed a difficult matter to discuss when we speak about ocean observation, because the common fisheries policy is designed in a manner where it gives a lot of control to the member states, and it gives little transparency to how the data is presented to the public. This has happened for reasons that are related with the implementation of the common fisheries policy. I cannot tell you that the Ocean Observation Initiative will open up all fisheries data, and I cannot tell you that you will have all the information that you want for fisheries internationally. It's certainly a step towards the correct direction in order to have more information integrated and open. But it's not an easy discussion to discuss fisheries, how fisheries data should be open or not.
All right. Then I'm going to ask Inga a question. So my question for you, Inga, is I know that you've always talked about the difficulty of observations when you're going from one country to the other. You know, we talk about in the Baltic, you have to be able, in order to go into another country's waters, you have to be able to go in there and take your measurements. Do you think that this, in the perfect world, that this Ocean Pact would be able to help with that? Do you think this might help with this clearinghouse mechanism for getting access to other people's waters to do observations?
I'm always very positive in that regard. Even, really coming from the Baltic Sea region, where we have been doing the collaborative efforts already since late 70s, but we are still struggling in many cases. But at the same time, we also have many positive examples where we are measuring in the neighboring countries' waters without any restrictions. And for example, one tool used for that is Ferrybox. Ferrybox means that there is an instrument package which is installed on board a passenger ferry or a cargo ferry which has a regular route across the Baltic Sea or across any of the gulfs in the Baltic Sea. And we have very long time series of those data, 30 years of time series going from Germany to Finland. And this is a real asset. At the same time, with the new technologies, for example, with gliders, we have a lot of obstacles to getting that really running in an integrated way. That means that in the Baltic Sea, we don't have international waters. Everything is almost like a coastal water. And with the gliders, we are allowed to go just until the end of our economic zone, and then we need to turn back a glider. So we need to, right now, what we are doing is sometimes we are with our neighbors in Finland, that we are using two different gliders. They meet in the middle and then they diverge again, but we will have the transect full. And this is what we also did in the central part of the Baltic Sea. So there are possibilities, and I hope that the Ocean Pact, when it also facilitates the more regional integration and collaboration, will open doors to really use other technologies than just the ferry boxes for that type of observations that are done in the neighboring country waters. But also, I don't think that in the Baltic Sea we have much problems in going and doing the research in the other countries' waters. The permissions are obtained quite easily because we are a very small community, and this community, we know also who works in the other country's ministry, to whom to ask the permission. So in this way, in a small community, I think in the Baltic Sea region, we are really advanced. It's much difficult to do that in the Mediterranean, because there we also share the sea with other continents. So we need to have very good collaborations to have good transect observations in there.
I don't know, we have one question, but I don't know if this is something that maybe we need to think about and how the Ocean Pact will actually make it easier to work with our colleagues in Africa or other places.
Hello, I'm Hélène Drosten from the European Committee of the Regions. I had a question about the role of regions and cities in the Eoceans Pact, because we had the launch of the Ocean Rise and Coastal Communities, Resilience Coalition on Saturday here in Nice. And the COR is calling for a stronger role of local and regional authorities. So how do you see their involvement in the Ocean Pact?
Did you want to take that one, Zoe?
I would like to make a disclaimer before I answer. I work on marine knowledge and ocean observation, so I don't cover the whole responsibilities of the Ocean Pact. So I have limited capacity to answer for issues that are not related with ocean observation. As I said before, coastal communities, they are a separate paragraph, a separate chapter in the Ocean Pact, meaning that the European Commission is recognizing the local and regional role that needs to be assumed and strengthened in order for us to be able to achieve conditions of sustainability. And this has to do with multiple aspects, and it has to do with the development of the blue economy and employment for sure. It has to do with the fact that we need to be able to protect the coastal zones of Europe as much as possible. And at the same time, it's related with, in our work, with the fact that we really need to invest more in observing coastal waters, and the responsibility for this observation and for this knowledge is usually with the local authorities. If it's not the responsibility, it's certainly the implementation. And it's definitely a certainty that the Ocean Observation Initiative would like to strengthen these capabilities and to make them sustained, to make them long-term and permanent if possible. I cannot give you a certain specific answer on how we are going to do this at this point. It's very, very early. But there are multiple pathways. Certainly the Mission Ocean is one pathway, because the Mission Ocean has a very strong component in engaging local authorities and the coastal communities in the different lighthouses. So I can only invite more conversation and more coordination in this matter through the different instruments that are already there and are going to be developed.
Okay, Pierre.
Well, maybe to add to what Zoe just said. So in Europe, so we are all, I mean, from the French perspective, but working with all our European member states to build this optimized European ocean observing system. For coastal observations, there is already a lot of cooperation between all European member states. We are in the process to set up a European research infrastructure for coastal observation, whose name is Jericho. The French component is Helico, so it's a lot of names, but every nation contributes, but they share the best practices to develop the most optimized system. There is already a lot of cooperation. Of course, when dealing with the coastal ocean, there is very local needs, but still there are common elements that we need to share. So the main message is that there are already a strong cooperation between the different institutions in Europe to have a better system, more coordinated, in particular for the coastal zone, but then also we discussed previously the global and regional.
Thank you. I think, no, sorry. I think we're running out of time. So Inga, we'll take one more question while Inga gives the intervention.
Okay. I also wanted to, hello? I also wanted to highlight that Ocean Pact goes through so many different sectors. And right now we are only talking about the research and monitoring and environment, but there are different blue economy sectors which are also contributing to ocean observations. And I hope that the Ocean Pact will also facilitate the better integration between the public and private observation capabilities.
Can I?
Can I have one more? So, yeah, I would like to hear about the involvement exactly of the general public, because with citizen science, especially when we talk about observation of the coast, that is coast very close to land. And citizen science is also divers, is sailors, is actually the ships that work at sea that can collect data and really can bring a lot of information to this system. Is this foreseen in this initiative for ocean observation, the integration of data collected by non-professionals, let's say?
This is already happening. EMONTnet has a very strong component in bringing in data from citizen science. And we are developing efforts and capabilities all the time. And there is a lot of work put forward from people developing different networks of stakeholders that can contribute towards this direction. So I cannot tell you that there's going to be a specific line in the Ocean Pact. There isn't, I think, on citizen science. But it's included already. It's a necessity. Because we need to increase our capabilities. We need to get data from cheaper and easy to deploy sensors. And this is a no-brainer, especially in order to have observations in the coastal zones.
I think we have one last question in the back there, and then I'm going to ask you guys for a 1-minute wrap-up, just to think about that.
Thank you. Holger Brix from Eoos, European Ocean, Global Ocean Observing System. I was wondering in terms of the tools that the European Commission has to force member states to go along with the goals in the Ocean Pact and to actually enforce them. What is in the toolbox?
Enforce is a wonderful, friendly word. Very friendly. I think that the idea is not to enforce. So the Ocean Pact is a communication. But the European Commission has ambition on the subject in order to develop legal documents that are going to help in the coordination of ocean observation at least in the member states. Even at that point, enforcement, again, is a very strong word. The main idea is to help member states coordinate what they already know. Most of the member states know the importance of ocean observation and are already investing a lot of funds. What we want to do through the instruments that the Commission is developing is to help them be more transparent, help them be more coordinated, and help them develop collaborations that in many areas are necessary in order to avoid overlaps and to cover gaps. So, and help them work together in order to increase their capacity, for instance, to deploy technology or to develop technology that can recognize ocean observation. So we go towards this direction. Currently, we are working in the development of a platform that can allow the better coordination of this ocean observation, and this is one way to go. But certainly during the years until we achieve the goals of the Ocean Pact, there are going to be more instruments towards this direction.
Okay, I think we have to wrap up now. So Pierre-Yves, I don't know if you want to add something else, Zoe, but Pierre-Yves and then Inga.
Okay, I think very short because I think we are late. Just maybe to say that for the French perspective, all European institutions are already working together to develop this European Ocean Observing System. The European Ocean Pact is really a strong initiative that will help us to make sure that we do it. And then, of course, the next step for us is to act, to make sure that we have more instruments in the water, delivering more data, feeding the Digital Twin Ocean and other initiatives, and so on.
Thanks. Inga?
And I still want to highlight the integration part. Zoe is mentioning a lot word coordination, but we also need to integrate. And what the Eoos framework has been doing is really trying to force to better collaboration and coordination and integration of different activities and assets that we have. But this initiative so far has been a bottom-up one, meaning that this is a community will to change something. And this community is now willing to take a next step. And they are willing to go to a top-down initiative, so that it's not only what they would create, but that there will be a commitment of member states on top of that. And I hope that the Ocean Pact and the coordination and integration that is included into that document will make us to have this step forward, so that we will have not only the willingness, but also the commitment.
Thank you very much. Then please give a round of applause for our panel.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you to all the speakers.